Welcome, everyone. This is Planet Beatles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin
Hi, hi.
and Cinders.
Hello.
Hello there. And this week we had another patch. I know, big surprise, right?
The little one.
It's a little one, and it includes a number of tweaks to items. Several Minacito crafted weapons now correctly carry survivability centered stat packages, whatever that means. I would presume that means things like defense and vitality, I guess. Some item experience heritage runes now grant slightly more item experience in order to make the granted amounts more regular. The Relic of Minacito now binds to account on acquire. The well-preserved Relic of Minas Ithil now binds on account on acquire. The pristine Relic of Minas Ithil now binds to account on acquire. And level 95 crafted Bjorning's carvings of the Third Age can now be crafted with the Universal Ingredients Pack, and the same thing is also true with their carvings of the Second Age. Gear drops from instances will now be 3 item levels higher: 408 at Tier 1, 410 at Tier 2, and 412 at Tier 3. Newly crafted rare crafted gear is now 3 item levels higher from 404 to 407. The incomparable crafted shields were inadvertently crafting at item level 410, so newly crafted shields will now be done at 412. The following weaponsmith recipes now require Ithilgalad Weapon Steel, Vanguard Sword Axe Dagger Mace of Minas Ithil, and also on the woodworker's side for Ithilgalad Wood, Vanguard's Hammer, Bow, and Clubs of Minas Ithil. And Virtue XP accelerators are now available in the LOTRO store. For quest and adventure areas, they fixed an issue with Tier 3, the Harrowing of Morgul, where the leading the charge deed was not applying correctly for all members of the Fellowship. The ahead of the curve and meta deeds were being awarded for the wrong instances between Harrowing of the Morgul and Shadow Roost now grant the correct titles. Tier 2 and Tier 3 instance difficulties have been rebalanced to be somewhat less difficult. Ereblin now properly stocks jeweler recipe scrolls for Minas Ithil crafting. Lost Lore, the 9th page of the Kirith Ungul Lost Lore has been moved slightly so that it can be collected more easily. Relic of Minas Ithil now correctly states that it grants 200 reputation to the Reclamation of Minas Ithil faction. Trial of Despair, the door of the Altar of Despair, is no longer blocked. And in the Filthwell instance, the midway checkpoint now works so groups do not have to start at the beginning of the dungeon if they wipe on the final boss.
Boy, I'm glad I
Balch,
haven't tried that one yet.
oh yeah, the Filthwell. Well, the Filthwell is also one where it's very easy to wipe on the final boss. Well, of course, I've only played that solo, so maybe I shouldn't talk about how much it wipes until I've played it in a group, I guess. Anyway, um, Belch, let's see. Belchneth skill frequency has been tuned. The first phase of the final boss fight now resets properly, and platforms now reset when the player resets the final boss fight. Boy, that will certainly make that easier if you do a second attempt because, yeah, you need those platforms. And in the Deep Barrel instance, the midway checkpoint now works so groups do not have to start at the beginning of the dungeon if they wipe on the final boss. And fix an issue where sometimes a monster that was meant for the 3-player instance are now respawning in the solo version. Ouch. And the text for quests formerly known as Gule marks for embers and Longbeard's marks for embers have now been updated to reflect that the quest now rewards motes of enchantment instead. And the quest Gold marks for motes now requires 55 gold marks to trade in, reduced from 75, I guess, because it now gives you motes instead of embers.
Right.
Fix an issue with the Gortha Nor instance, where a monster meant for the 3-person instance was spawning in the solo version. That sounds familiar. And fix an issue in the instance Shadow Roost that could cause the quest to fail to progress after successfully completion of the egg room. You mean it is possible to successfully complete the egg room? Okay, that's new. I'm sorry, I've only tried that once so far, and I'm trying. And how do you solo this quest?
I say clearly it was frustrating.
Yeah, maybe I'll do better on that. Was of course that was though during the first beta where it was available, so maybe
Yeah.
they tweaked it a little since then.
Well, and maybe without somebody for whatever the 3-man is spawning in, you might have better luck.
I didn't. Did they say this? No, I didn't think
Oh,
it
and
was somebody
oh no, never
spawning.
mind. Sorry, I was thinking of the wrong one there.
Yeah, and in
Okay,
fact,
never mind.
that's the only one I
Wrong
haven't run
one.
since release. All right, and also fix an issue with Minas Morgul, Garth of Angarth quest tiers of Minas Ethel that could make the quest object unreachable, and man Mandel no longer occasionally abandons his post in Minas Morgul, the Circle of Death. And in miscellaneous, floating name visibility problems have been fixed.
I didn't realize there was a problem with floating names.
Well, I know that I saw a thread where people were complaining about it, and I think that was one of the things that were the reason why they wished to do this one this week or something like that. So I have heard that they are expecting that there might be another patch sometime next week. We shall see. I don't know what that's for. I guess we'll find that out. So let's head to the Beacon, issue 138, where we open up with something was obviously in Borgle Vale, but
We were just there.
oh, it is that there?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, it does look like it's
Because
there.
I
Yeah.
hadn't recognized it when I first saw the beacon, and then we went there yesterday.
Oh, okay. So you had that fresh in your mind then. All right. Yes, that was a reasonable possibility on there. Then up there in the was it something Queen or something like that? That
I don't
indoor,
remember what it was
yeah, in the
called. I
indoor
just remember
section
that
where all you meet all those uh, more see
Mordor,
Mordorim,
Mordorim, yeah.
yeah, the Mordorim in the community spotlight. We have the Lonely Mountain Band presents Winter Stock 7 on Langemo in January. The band signups are now underway. And meanwhile, Winterfest on Creek Hollow arrives in a few weeks. And you can click on the link to learn more about the event. And it's taking place this year from December 13th through the 15th. For Kinhall, Durin's folk and their sister kinship ally of Durin's folk are recruiting dwarf characters and non-dwarf characters both. Click here to read more about the Arcastone-based kinship. Yes, guess it's a kinship friendship. I would presume though that Durin's folk is for dwarf characters and the ally is for the non-dwarf characters. At least my guess.
Yeah.
So let's head into our weekly comment. If you were standing in front of a Palantir, would you use it?
That would be a no if it was me personally, because I am familiar with the stories, so obviously I'm not going to subject myself to that. My character might be tempted, depending on the character.
Depending on the character, yeah.
But the Palantirs weren't always corrupt, were they?
No.
No,
So my
in fact,
answer would depend on what age it was in and on whether or not it had been corrupted yet. Because if it hadn't been corrupted yet, of course I would want to look in one.
well, let's see. Well, the ones that I know are definitely corrupt are the Ithel Stone and the stone that you face off in Volume 1. The Isengard stone is usable, but you need a strong mind because when Sauron's around, it's very easy to get linked with him. So that's always a risk with that one. We know what we know that the Honor stone is well right now. You probably don't want to use the Honor stone. Well, after what Denethor does to it, obviously it's not a good one to look into at any age, I guess. After Sauron starts to twiddle with Denethor, I don't know if there are any. I don't know if any of the northern, no, other than the stone used by Amarthiel, I don't know if there are any other northern stones that survived. Maybe someday we'll find that out.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't specify what age. I mean, if you were standing in front of a Palantir when it was first created, definitely something that you would do. Um,
Well, because that's what they're for, right? Well, it depends on
exactly.
what. Well, that probably depends on whether there's anyone on the other end that you want to talk to.
Well, that too.
Oh,
That's a very good
actually,
point.
there is one that there is one that is there is one more stone from the north that is known. Of course, that's the stone over in the Havens, the Grey Havens on Círdan's Palantir. But that one always tends to face out into the waters.
That would be a cool view.
Yeah. So therefore, unless you had a great interest in what's happening on the sea, such as Círdan, there isn't too much reason to go peeking into it.
I'd
Unless, of
like to
course,
look at Valinor.
I don't know if you actually. I think that you peek into the sea. I don't think it allows you to see the Valinor itself.
I think it lets you look that direction, though. I
Yeah,
would look
out in
towards
that.
Valinor.
Well, yes, but the question is, does it let you look in that direction on the straight path or on the curved path?
I don't know. Either way, it would still be cool to be like, I'm looking towards Valinor. Right? I mean, that's what
Some,
you do. You go to the ocean and you look across the sea and you're like, I wonder what country is on the other side. Like on your first time there, that's what you do. And then you taste the ocean and it's very salty.
and it's very salty. Well, there is that little detail.
Sandberg, the seeing stone.
The seeing stone. Yeah, that's a good way to describe that particular one.
But yes,
Oh,
I would definitely look into one, depending on which
you
one it
would,
was.
depending on which one it was. All right, you definitely don't want to look into the Ithel stone, that's for sure. Oh,
I
I was.
don't know yet.
Oh, actually, that's a good question. Are we going to run into the Ithel stone?
Maybe. But if we did, they would probably either make it so you cannot look into it, or they would force you to look into it.
Yeah. Oh no, actually, I think the Ithel stone was moved to Barad-dûr.
Before or after this particular
Well, it was because Sauron doesn't
age.
go to because Sauron is in control of the Ithel stone, and he lives in Barad-dûr. He doesn't mean it's Morgul. So I think it got moved to Barad-dûr. And I would presume then that when Barad-dûr collected the the stone either A broke or B got buried so deep that we did not find.
Hmm.
But I guess we could find that out if we run into it in Minas Morgul.
Very true.
Yes.
You're cutting in and out, Pine Leaf.
All right. Hear me now?
Yes.
Then let's go to our fan site news. YouTube is the home of many people uploading new videos about LOTRO every week. You can check out vids from Sir Medieval, Gamolio Dan, and Zogog. And LOTRO Stream is the home for finding live streams on Twitch, and you could see shows by Mort, Big Ed Mustafa, and the Tolkien Professor. Some of LOTRO's best video makers are on Twitch. You could check out channels on RJR, Win22, Dr. Manny, and Quentin Bullo. And Lotro Legendarium on Massively OP has their first impressions of Minas Morgul, and we sort of idled epically last week, apparently.
We did.
Yes, we did.
Shocking.
Then let's look at our screenshot of the week, where Martraduce posted this week's screenshot onto Twitter this week, and it is, of course, showing Minas Morgul from the outside. And another look at Minas Morgul. That place looks just deathly pale. It was like
So
we, yeah.
I'm going to ask a question. It might sound silly, but it's been a while since I've read the books. It looks similar in structure to the White City. Were they built on the same plan?
I don't know if that's part of the lore or not. I guess
I know they
Tolkien.
were sister cities, weren't
Yeah,
they?
they were sister cities, which means that they could have been.
Yeah, I
Because
don't know
it
if
looks very
they
similar.
necessarily go into it, but I guess that would make sense for them
It,
to have been.
it reminds me of what it looks like when we go to and now I can't even think of the name.
Minas Tirith?
Yes, I was pulling Minas Laggith and I knew that was not it. But it reminds me of that, just with black towers around it.
Yes, that's pretty much, in fact, when you go inside it, it's even more obvious. Because the map looks let's say the map looks strangely familiar. Not exactly a similar thing like this, but it is divided in tiers in a similar way to Minas Tirith.
Yeah, I mean it's not exactly the same because you don't have the ship prow.
Yeah.
Right.
But you definitely see some similarities, which I guess would make sense if they're sister cities.
Yeah, so probably similar architects in there.
Okay.
And when we look at this, when I could think of Minas Tirith as a white city, I could almost think of Minas Morgul as the pale city.
The dead city.
I know it's called the Dead City, or the City of the Ring Raids, or all sorts of names like that. Whatever city you come up with, it's nasty.
The pale city. I just love that people are getting these screenshots because it looks really, really creepy, and I really want to go there, and I'm still not there, and I'm so disappointed. We're 3 weeks into the update now, and I still haven't made it to Minas Morgul.
Oh well.
Soon.
You need we need a playing night where you're really healthy and anxious to see how far we can get, right?
Yeah.
Or a play day. I happen to know Sandswind is free on Friday.
I'm working Friday.
Ah.
I work in retail. I don't have Black Friday off.
Well, there is that, even though you work for a store that probably, well, okay, you might have Do you have regular work hours, or do they actually have people doing extra hours on Black Friday, despite the fact that your store isn't exactly known for
Oh,
Black Friday?
they have extra time on Black Friday because we do a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happens for internet orders.
Okay,
There's less in-store shopping, but it's still a pretty big day for us.
all right. Then let's head into our store sales. Speaking of stores, and is this a good sale this week, or
It's not an awful sale. I mean, it's pretty decent. Also, it is LOTRO bonus days bring us a 25% XP boost through the weekend, so that's pretty awesome. We got 25% off select quest packs, 100% XP boost, Mithril coins, yay, Mithril coins because they don't go on sale very often, and the Max Morale and Power Scrolls now through November 28th. And then this week's WikiLeaks coupon is one I can do without because it's 100% craft XP boost, and I don't do crafting, but I love the coupon code. It's Make Me now through November 28th.
Make Me?
Make
Okay.
Me.
Let's then head into our site news, where we'll first go into the Whereas Middle Earth is Emeraldina number 29, which was posted right after last week's show. Right? When did that get posted?
Yeah, pretty much right after last week's show, within a couple hours.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't had any time with conferences and stuff, and so as soon as we got done, I went on and did it. But before I did that, I went shopping. And I got myself some new wardrobe items. And wore them.
And wore them for this.
Yes.
Now, did you also get the emote for the rearing horse, or?
Yes. And the war steed color for it, because that was also on sale last week. But, yes. So, yeah, I was looking for somewhere where I could rear back epically into the air. And what place is more epic?
Well, you found it.
Yes, and say what place is more epic than Dol Amroth for that one.
Yeah.
Since the spoiler is already out, and we're going to talk about it next.
Yes, and I don't know how Legolas would feel being there, because you know how he is with seagulls. Actually, would seagulls be out at night, I wonder?
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah. Just wondering. I don't know if
I wouldn't think so, but I don't know. I'm not an expert of birds, so.
You're not an expert on birds.
If they kept getting disturbed in their roosts, they might be. Like if they were going to roost and then a foghorn would go off or something.
Well, there is that. Right. Then, of course, they're also noting that the previous one, number 20A, was in the Halls of Memory, the Piney version of Where Middle Earth is Emeraldina.
Mm-hmm.
So let's then head to Where's Middle Earth is Emeraldina number 30, where it has a more of a daytime scene here with flowers.
Yes, I finally logged in and it was daytime when I logged in to do Where's M. So the trick is to do Where's M the night before so that I can get it in the daytime in game. Apparently. No. So, Sans helped me with that one. So.
And what way did she help you, or is that a spoiler?
I don't think it would be a spoiler, but she definitely used the Hunter port to get me in the general vicinity of that, and then she's like, go find epic pictures. And so then I rode around and found some epic pictures, and she actually picked the one that's on there this time. Yeah, I almost fell off a cliff.
You almost fell off a cliff.
I almost fell off a cliff
I feel
when
like
I was
that
taking
happens
pictures.
a lot.
It does, especially when you're on a war steed.
Oh,
I thought you said especially when you're with Sans window.
Well, that too.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting that to be the end of that sentence.
Say by that point, Sans window had left. Um, but yeah, she went to do school or whatever the featured instance was last night. So when she went to do that, I almost fell off a cliff. What
Oh
can
well.
I say? It's the story of our lives.
Story of your lives. Cliffs.
Sometimes we go, oh, look, a cliff. What happens if we jump off?
Yeah.
I know that happens a lot with Sans.
Yeah, well, then she was telling me, so, oh, I'll tell you that later on. I'll hold on to that one. She almost got me killed like 5 times when we were playing together this week. It was
All
ridiculous.
right. So that's where, and we also note then that last week's, as you mentioned, was at the Keep of the Swan Knights in Dol Amroth in Western Gondor.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's into our new player question. And what's your question this week?
So I feel like this is probably self-explanatory, but my question was, what/how do you use reputation acceleration tomes? So like, what do you use them for? Like, what's your favorite way to use them? And then, um, is there anything you should be cautious of, or, um, yeah,
Anything we should be cautious about?
yeah, like
Oh, okay.
once
Oh,
you
with
pop it, then what
yeah.
happens?
What happens is it adds bonus a bonus bar to your reputation screen, and on there, whenever you earn reputation for any faction after that, it will. I think it's double. It'll double it. In other words, it'll give you the bonus. So if you earn 100 rep, you will get 100 from that, plus you draw out 100 from the bonus. So you get 200 in all. Thus,
Oh,
if you have a 1,000 rep tome that you use, then that will mean that you'll effectively get 2,000 for the next 1,000 that you earn.
okay.
So it adds a little bit of extra to what you do. So therefore, the biggest thing you need to be careful of is that whatever you're about to do is for the faction you want to accelerate, because
Right.
it doesn't help too much if you pop it, and when you are questing and hoping to bring it up to the to the faction, the latest contents, and then you decide, oh, I want to run the Rift Skirmish. Well, you'll probably just spend the next 700 of it going to this faction that you probably don't care about. It's the Rift Skirmish.
Yeah.
Now, you won't have to worry about it if it's a faction that you already have full rep with, so you don't have to worry about the cap.
Okay. Thanks.
And yes, I have been known to use those a bit lately since I was going through there and I was saying, oh, but though this character has a few reputation tomes that I haven't used yet, might as well actually use them for a change. For example, while questing with a character in Western Gondor, I popped one while we were questing there so that I could get to friend level with Dol Amroth faster so that my hunter could get the port.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't have purchased any to do that, but I had them sitting in my inventory probably from a Hobbit present.
So where are some places you can purchase the reputation acceleration tomes besides the store?
You could also purchase them at a skirmish camp. The ones at the skirmish camp are 1,000
Okay.
reputation XP each. The ones that you get in Hobbit presents are 5,000, I believe.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I think they used to have better ones at the skirmish camp, but I think they just decided that they were a little bit too good, so they changed them to 1,000. Anything else on them?
I think that was it.
All right. Apparently, they're talking about the bandages in the chat.
Oh yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah, probably because you were talking about falling off cliffs.
Falling off cliffs with Sanswinda. Um. Oh, I want to know what the outfit of the Elven Lady in the Rift is. I was not paying attention when we ran the rift that one time.
Oh, the Elven Lady in the Rift?
Yeah.
The one you run into for the boss fight.
Yeah, I wasn't paying any attention to what she was wearing.
Oh.
But
Well,
apparently it's something to be envious of.
I would
Yeah, 'cause we
think
can't
that whatever
get it.
she was wearing was a few years out of fashion.
Which just means it's back in fashion, Pine Leaf. Hello.
Right? Like scrunchies, guys.
Well, I don't know what the patterns are for fashion with elves.
With
You
elves,
know, with
it might
elves,
never
they
go out of
live pretty
fashion.
much forever, so nothing ever really goes out of fashion.
That's what I
Oh,
was
I guess
thinking.
it's because I was working to catch up a little bit on exploring Lord of the Rings, and Tolkien was talking about elf fashion and what are they? Oh, that's right, because she was wondering about. Oh boy, why am I going blank? Arwen. He was wondering about Arwen and how she seems to wear fashions that are completely different from just about every other elf in the game.
That's because she's Arwen.
Because she's Arwen.
They had to make her stand out.
Yes,
So
she
she's
stands out
easily
all right.
identifiable.
Yeah, you certainly won't miss her. Let's head to our weekend Lotro. And Terry Edwin, what were you up to?
Well, so Terry Adwin met an epic figure from Gondorian history in the worst possible way. So I'm not going to give any spoilers here because I'm sure we'll have those when we do our review of the update, but just suffice it to say that there's this guy and you meet his grandchildren, and one of them is kind of a practical joker, and he tells you, hey, go play this prank on my grandpa. Except his grandpa is like a super important person from history, and I'm freaking out going, oh my god! And
Yeah,
unfortunately, he didn't kill the messenger, but I was like, oh my god!
you're going to
So,
be
so,
killed.
so yeah, that happened. And whenever we get around to reviewing this update, people will hear more about that particular quest because it was pretty great. Um, and still stuck in Second Age Mordor because I haven't been able to play lots of game time with the group. I play lots on my own. It's just getting everybody else's schedules together. And so Sarissa has achieved ally with the Ensa Fangor, and she is one set of dailies away. Actually, I was going to do them last night, and then I was going to do them earlier today, and didn't actually get them completed yet. One set of dailies away from getting her Ent tome, her pet Huorn tree, and she's halfway through the Tadrant quest in Belfalas. So really, really, really super close to Dol Amroth. And Well Dressed Killing Machine got some playtime this week and finished up Epic Volume 1, Book 3, and now he's running around the Trollshaws. He's a super well dressed elf in the Trollshaws. He's a little under leveled for the book content, but not for the area quests, which is a little weird. Like he's on level, actually he's a little bit above level for the actual Trollshaws quests, which by the way are repeatable but still have to be turned in, which is a little annoying. But he's just below the level that he needs to be for the book. So the book quest is yellow and everything else is blue. It's weird. And that was my week. Cinders, how about you?
Well, my week was mostly cosmetic related. Um, so right after we got off the show last week, um, I went and was looking through the cosmetic pieces that were available on sale in the LOTRO store, and I found the Elf Lord's cloak. They had the hooded version, but I didn't like that one as much as the one with the hood down. So the hood is still there, and it's just not on their head. And so I got that, and then I dyed it Rivendell green to match um, the green color that I usually use on Emeralina. Um, and then I got the matching um, colors for the War Steed um, and put the whole thing together. And then I had to go looking for some place where she could rear epically because I also got that from the Lotro store because I discovered I had lots of points stored up because I was like, ooh, 3,000 points. How can I spend these? Um, and so, because they just sit there unless I actually do something with them. And I don't always log on and do stuff. So I was like, cool. Yeah, so I got those. And then you'll see they're still featured. She's still wearing them in 30. And then in the process of doing all of this, I discovered that stuff was being mailed back from my other alts. And I was like, oh no. So then I spent some time logging them in and pulling all of their cosmetic pieces and mailing them off to my cosmetic keeper so that they could all be dyed to be outfit options. But I was able to store crafting mats and I was able to start crafting tiers with Cinderina so that she's able to pick up everything and can craft some new gear. And then, so I took Cinders out with Sanswinda's Runekeeper because the two of them run around together frequently. And I was like, I really want to do the new content. I haven't done any new content. I'm stuck. And she's like, well, why don't we just take these two and we can just smash through the rest of the Black Book and we'll be in new content in just a couple hours. It's like, okay. So we start with talking to the Shade. And she is not giving me anything. Like, she's not telling me that I'm just going to be ported away or anything like that when these things happen. So we end up in the new area, and I'm like, oh, cool. This is shiny. I'm going to click on it. And she didn't say anything. And she let me click on this, and it ported me 3,000 plus years away in time, but left me in the same spot. And then she was like, oh, here, let's go look at how big this place is. I was like, no. I'm like, how do I get back? She's like, well, you just click the same thing again. So I found it. I was like, ooh, shiny, click. Ended back up. And then I was like, okay, so we went and did some quests. He was like, okay, where's the task board? How do we get there? She's like, oh, it's over by Minas Morgul. And I was like, how did we get there? She's like, oh, well, let's just ride over to this place, and then we'll click the shiny thing again, and it'll take us to this camp, and then we can ride to the place with the task board. I was like, okay, this sounds simple. Not a problem, right? So that's what we do. And we click the shiny thing, and we get ported to this other location. And we get on our horses, and I was like, oh, don't you think we should use our sensible steeds? And she's like, no, let's just use our war steeds. It'll be fine. I was like, okay, right? Because I trust her, big sister here. Climb on our war steeds, take off, and I'm like, oh, first we got dismounted because, things are like yellow and orange, and I'm suspicious of this at this point. I'm like, I'm not sure this was such a great idea. She's like, oh no, it's great. We just have to keep riding. I was like, okay. I'm like, so are we headed for like those things over there? And she's like, yeah. It's like, okay, so we could just like ride straight towards them. We don't have to stay on the road. She's like, no, we don't have to stay on the road. You can totally ride straight toward them. I fell in a river that was draining my morale. And she goes, she let me take off first though, so I'm ahead of her. I fall in the river, and she starts laughing. She's like, "Oh, we're not going that way." I was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?" She's like, "I forgot to tell you. I don't normally come this way. I've only ever come in from the other direction." And I was like, "But you just told me we could go this way. Like, what happened?" Yeah. So I finished that, and I was like, "Okay, I need to do Where's M? Can you please port me somewhere for Where's M?" And she was like, "Sure." And I gave her the criteria of what I was looking for. She's like, "Oh, let me think about it." And she's like, "Okay, I'll port you here." And so I did. She's like, "Okay, now you need to like run off and do your pictures, and I'm gonna go do schools, right?" So she goes to do schools, and I went off to do my thing. I almost fell off like 4 cliffs trying to do this because she's like, "Oh, you'll be fine on a war steed." So finally, I got off my war steed and was just running my little character around because I was like, "I'm not falling in." But the other thing she did while we were getting ready for new content, running through the veils, she's like, "Oh, I know how to get to the shade, and I can ride right down. We're just gonna ride down the road till the shade is like our quest arrow points 90 degrees off to the side, and then we can just like ride straight across. It's such a nice incline." She's like, "It's almost level." So I did that,
And you
right?
believed her?
She did it with me, and we both went off a cliff. And I said, "I don't think that's what you meant to tell me." And she goes, "Oh, that wasn't the way we were going." She's like, "Clearly we missed it." I was like, "You think?" "Clearly we missed it. We took the crunchy way down." So
her version of level and everybody else's version of level are not always the same thing.
well, she was like, "Terry and Pineleaf totally took it with me." And I'm like, "Oh, if Terry and Pineleaf took it with her, it is not crunchy. This is going to be great because Terry does not do crunchy
That's true.
descents." And she was like, "We missed it." I was like, clearly we have missed it. We just went off a cliff." She goes, "Well, at least we didn't get dismounted." And I was like, "Right, at least we didn't get dismounted." 3 seconds later, we got dismounted in the river. And I was like, "And now we're dismounted." And she's like, "Well, at least you're not a hobbit and getting dismounted everywhere." I was like, "Thanks a lot." She goes, "I think the river dismounts everybody in that spot." I'm just like, ugh. Okay, so thankfully you don't have to actually feel the sog enclosure characters are running around in. I was like, ugh. Damn. So that was my week in Lotro. Biley, that was your week.
Well, I won't be able to top that, that's for sure. We'll start with my lore master, where I finished up the Black Book and the Mordor Besiege stuff. I did most of the quest content over there. There's 1 or 2 things that I skipped over because I wanted to see some of the stuff that I wanted to see some new stuff since my warden had already done some of those fringe quests in that area. So I decided to head over to the Morgul Vale to the areas in the current timeline instead of 3,000 years in the past. And I explored the lands near Minas Orgul, and such as Torek Ungol, where I ran into a very big spider. Very big spider. Big spider, yes. Which I guess it's sort of like the first. Well, I guess you did have that session play with Gollum where you had that, but that was only a hint of. This is, I think, the first time where you actually see the spider, so to speak. And I'm sure there'll be a few more times where we'll be running into hints about her in the future. And is there anything else that happened in there? Oh, yes. And I also entered into Minas Morgul, and I cleared out the first circle of Minas Morgul. So now I'm ready to head off into the second circle. And I reached level 128 on my lore master. My honor warden completed questing in Dunlin and in the Gap of Rohan, so I know we were asking earlier whether or not the Gap of Rohan was part of Dunlin. I sort of made sure, yes, I am including the Gap of Rohan when I'm talking about Dunlin in this case. So I've finished all that questing over there, and I'm just at the point where you're in the epic right after you wake up from the stream that's going to eventually send you over to the Great River. So I'm poised to head over to the Great River soon. And then during the field trip, we all worked together in order to get our first age level 100 weapons because we just all reached level 100 while questing in the Blackroot Vales, actually in the area after the Blackroot Vale, where that town where you have the very awkward family dinner. So we were there, did the questing there, and we also, since we all hit level 100, we got our items made, and now I think I'm about level 56 on my LI. I did put a scroll on there to give it a max level of 70. So I still have about 12 levels to go before I cap it out, and then I'll imbue it, and I'll finally have my imbued weapon. Now that is my crossbow that I've got right now. I have not yet gotten a regular weapon, a melee weapon yet. That's at level 100. I still have a level 95 melee weapon. So hopefully we'll be able to amend that in the near future. And after that, I have run several skirmishes because I'm trying to level up the weapon. I was trying to see, how am I doing in my skirmish deeds on this character? Well, this is one of those characters that, let's just say I had a little bit more work than I need to do in order to get to Skirmisher in Middle Earth. I'll just leave it at that. And that ends my week in LOTRO. We currently have 15 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on podcast of your choice, or even be guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week. If you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast at LOTROplayers.com, and you can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, LOTRO Players at LOTRO Players, Arendis at Arendis, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, Sandwinda at Sandwinda, Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin, and Cinders at Emeraldina. The Players Alliance has two shows. On Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. You can join us for our live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. This is Tiny Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.
Pineleaf, can you say that one more time? The end part, because on this end it sounded like Tiny Leaf Needles.
That's what I heard too.
Oh, well.
And as funny as that would be,
Yeah, especially with the Pine Leaf Countdown. Yes.
yeah.
All right. You can join us for our live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.